As reported on June the 1st, 2025, the SBU carried out its legendary Operation Web, during which more than 100 FPV drones hidden in trucks attacked 4 Russian airfields at once: Olenia, Diaghilevo, Belaya, and Ivanovo-Severny. The operation took about a year and a half to prepare, but the effect was colossal. The drones, each costing no more than $1,000, struck strategic aircraft worth tens of millions of dollars. The Russian independent publication The Insider reported on the grave consequences of this operation for the occupying country. 3 of the 4 sites were used by Tu-95MS, Tu-22M3 and Tu-160 bombers, which are part of the airborne part of the Russian nuclear triad. Another target was the airfield in Ivanovo, where military transport aircraft and AWACS equipment were located. The only truck with drones sent to the Ukraina Far Eastern base exploded on the way and did not reach its target. According to the official version of the SBU, Russia lost 41 aircraft worth about $7 billion. Ukrainian OSINT groups and independent analysts have clarified the data. 22 to 23 aircraft were hit, of which at least 7 Tu-95MS and 4 Tu-22M3 were destroyed. Several more aircraft were seriously damaged. As a result, about 20% of the combat-ready strategic aviation fleet was disabled, which was a serious blow to the Russian aerospace forces. Despite these losses, Moscow has stepped up its air attacks on Ukraine. If in January 2025 Russia used about 90 weapons per day, then by August the figure had risen to 140. The largest massive raids, when more than 500 missiles and drones were launched at a time, occurred precisely in the period after Operation Spiderweb. Tours in Ukraine drones still make up the bulk of these attacks, but missiles play a decisive role. They are harder to shoot down, and their destructive power is many times higher. The launches are mainly carried out by Iskander, Kalibr, KH-101 and Kinzhal missiles. Some of them have nuclear versions, which emphasizes the strategic nature of the carriers involved. Fearing repeated attacks, Russia has redeployed most of its Tu-95MS and Tu-160 aircraft to airfields in the Far East, primarily in Ukraina, Amur region, as well as Kamchatka and Chukotka. However, the logistics remain the same. Missiles and aircraft maintenance are still concentrated at old bases, including Engels 2 and Olenia. As a result, strikes require flights of up to 12,000 kilometers, and a combat sortie now lasts 23 hours instead of the previous 4 to 5. This mode dramatically accelerates the wear and tear of the equipment. The Tu-95MS engines are designed for 5,000 flight hours and approximately 200 hours per year, which, given the current load, means that the resource is exhausted in just a few flights. The repair of one such aircraft is estimated at $50 million. The cost of a flight has also increased many times over, from approximately $100,000 to $500,000. Operation of the aging Tu-95MS and Tu-160 in extreme conditions is already causing problems. Insider sources report that in early September, one of the Tu-160s was unable to launch missiles due to a launcher failure, and the other aircraft did not take off at all. Thus, Operation Spider's Web has become not only a military strike for Russia, but also a strategic challenge. Moscow is forced to push its worn-out equipment to the limit of its capabilities, spending enormous resources and accelerating the inevitable aging of its strategic aviation. Influential Ukrainian OSINT analyst Tatarigami and his Frontelligence Insight team have published the results of a large-scale study on unauthorized desertion in the Russian army, and it shows a sharp increase in deserters in the ranks of Putin's army. According to their data, the number of escapes and desertions in the Russian army has increased 2 to 3 times in recent months. This is not about isolated incidents. The database contains 13,807 confirmed cases of unauthorized abandonment of a unit, recorded from 2022 to July 2025. The year 2025 has become especially alarming for the Kremlin. By July, the number of registered cases had already reached the level of 2024, indicating a doubling of the desertion rate. Researchers note that while cases of defection were relatively rare at the beginning of the war, the phenomenon is now widespread. Of the 13,807 cases reviewed by analysts, 11,341 involved contract soldiers, 2,457 were mobilized, and 9 were other categories, including conscripts. Thus, the overwhelming majority of deserters are contract soldiers. An example is the 30th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade of the 2nd Combined Arms Army of the Russian Federation. From April 2023 to March 2025, 1,988 cases of desertion and unauthorized departure were officially recorded there. In less than 2 years, the number of fugitives is comparable to half of the brigade. The indicator increased especially sharply in 2024 to 2025. According to analysts, contract soldiers make up 73.6% of deserters in this unit. Mobilized soldiers appear in only 4.38% of cases, but this may be due to their high mortality rate rather than greater discipline. Separately, a sharp increase in desertions directly on the battlefield is noted. Since the summer of 2024, their number has increased more than tenfold. These data highlight the worsening crisis in the troops, despite harsh measures, including extrajudicial executions. Experts emphasize that the registered cases are not short-term absences, but official cases that are classified as criminal offenses in Russia. Another important conclusion concerns the quality of Russian troops. Although Moscow continues to fulfill its plans for recruiting personnel, a growing share of reinforcements comes from prisoners and persons under investigation. This directly affects the combat readiness of the army and the morale of the units. According to the Frontelligence Insight team, the current figures do not yet mean an immediate collapse of the Russian army. However, the rapid growth of desertion shows that even the most severe measures are not able to stop this process. The problem is becoming systemic and deepening with each passing month.